What's up, everybody? With Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2 set to launch here in a few days, I thought I'd give you a rundown of the older title and answer the burning question on everybody's mind: is Warhammer 40k Space Marines worth playing today? It's strange to consider this as an older title now, but it was released all the way back in 2011, and that's been quite a little while. With Space Marines 2 set to release on the 9th of September, that would make the two games released at around 13 years apart. First and foremost, you do not have to play Space Marines 1 to play Space Marines 2. While they do have some of the returning characters, the story is actually completely original. Now, right now, having Space Marines 2 upcoming, the multiplayer PvE and PvP is seeing a resurgence in activity in that first title. Taking a peek over at the Steam numbers, it seems that the player base has nearly doubled or even tripled at certain times, making the matches easier to connect to and find people to play with or against. Also, the main campaign for Space Marines is chunky enough to be considered engaging, sitting around 7.5 to 10 hours to complete. It offers up enough variety and upgrades to keep it fresh, as each initial stage showcases a new weapon until all are unlocked, and then the player is usually able to choose their loadout from the crates spread around the beginning of the new area. In addition to that, the storyline is pretty immersive, with it focused around an invasion happening on a prime forged world, where giant factories churn out weapons and munitions of the Imperium of Man. But before we dive too far down this rabbit hole, remember to like and subscribe for more content. Let's go ahead and dive in.
Millions more of them.
Our plan is unchanged. Get the Inquisitor and the power source off-world.
First, I want to say that playing Space Marines has been a real treat. Originally, I got this game on release and did play it for a few hours, but for whatever reason decided to go ahead and shelf it. I remember that it was fun and the combat was interesting, but I never had a reason to revisit and finish the campaign. Lo and behold, Warhammer 40k Space Marines 2 gets slated to be produced, and all of a sudden that itch struck, and here we are. When playing this game, cinematically speaking, it hits hard. You feel like you're in the midst of a full assault invasion on this backwater hole-in-the-wall planet that the Imperium of Men has decided is worth saving for reasons. Combine that with solid atmosphere, great voice acting, and easy-to-use controls, and you have the makings of an all-time great. Of course, there is something worth noting about this particular title, and I don't know what it is about Warhammer 40k stuff, but they do love DLCs and manipulating the gamer for every sin in his or her pocket. This is no exception, with a nice price tag of nearly $60 on a 13-year-old title. Like Square Enix, Warhammer 40k really forces someone to be patient for a good deal when picking up these things from the back catalog. So if the price tag doesn't daunt you, then you are in for some really good, great combat sequences. While most of the environment stages are designed to make it easy for spawning in multiple enemies in wave-based fashion, they are gorgeously detailed and really speak volumes for adding immersion to the gameplay. This particular art style of Warhammer 40k is so vividly striking with its Romanesque aesthetics, and Relic Entertainment has done a really wonderful job capturing the essence of that feel. Be it the sprawling, war-torn cityscape or just a random vestibule that you run across, each area is uniquely crafted to give that Warhammer 40k feel. As far as the weapons go, there is a decent variety available, anything from the classic boulder to the explosive one-hit wonder laser cannon. During the course of the campaign, everything gets used, with my personal favorites being the jetpack and the thunderhammer stages, where if you time it right, one explosive hit from the thunderhammer can stun lock entire waves of enemies. It's really a great crowd pleaser, but just being a fully equipped Space Marine with a solid boulder and grenades can be fun as well, as taking down enemies never once feels like a chore and instead exploring options on how to take down those enemies, and ammo management coupled with random drops for supplies really makes for a fun, if tense, time. That's not to say that I think this game is an absolute masterpiece when it comes down to balance, as some of the encounters I couldn't possibly have soloed without cheesing the system and gaming the AI, where if I tried to straight up engage with particular sections leading up to the bosses head on, there would have been no chance. Instead, in those situations, I would find myself just using angles of cover where they wouldn't fire back and just snipe them down. Also, because of their own defensive AI cover sequences, it becomes easy to manipulate that and get them to give up cover and move if you know how to just tag them. All in all, it was competent, but far from great. The storyline, however, is really well done in presentation and tone. The narrative weaves together this image of a planet where the player overhears an intercom system blast over and over that the machine god will take care of you and workers need to return to work. Stumbling across audio logs, we see the workers' dilemma in this world. Return to work even during the middle of a full-on orc invasion or face severe consequences. I don't know if they actually believe in this machine god at this point, but obviously the ethos of society is vastly different in this universe that has been at war for this long. If you aren't a huge follower of Warhammer 40k, kind of like me, this dichotomy between good and evil and all these different factions with their own directives splashed together in a tapestry of interaction that becomes self-evident in the course of a single playthrough. Also, the supporting cast down to even the companions themselves all play a huge part in the successful process that they did to weave together this narrative. All in all, that leaves us with music and voice. And right off the bat, I want to say that voice acting was tremendous in this one. They really nailed a few characters that really needed that gravitas of the situation. It's far from futuristic, but the music does center around this militaristic chant that hits well when in contrast to the combat being displayed. Here's a few samples for you. You know, Space Marines is an interesting tale. It reminds me greatly of the Xbox 360 era of FPS action adventure. It falls in line with similar combat flow like Darksiders. What makes it stand out from the slush pile of that time is the smooth combat and easy movement on terrain. When asked what makes a game that will hold up to the test of time, I look back at all those titles, and while they may not have all the features, or they might not have the prettiest graphics, what makes them hold on to their value all comes down to core gameplay design, and Warhammer 40k Space Marines is a title of that caliber. Well, that's my review of Warhammer 40k Space Marines. I hope you liked it. I'll see you on the next one. Have a great day gaming. Later.
I'm just walking the line and there's nobody with me.